What's up, guys? Mr. Collins here, and we are going on to our fifth unit in our everyday math studies. So, lesson 5-1, fraction decomposition. Now, this is a pretty easy concept to learn. It's kind of right there behind learning what a fraction is and using them. Fraction decomposition is just essentially showing how to make a specific fraction through the use of addition. So we can use unit fractions to help us do this, or a combination of fractions. You can do kind of multiple things with this. So first off, let's do some vocabulary. Decompose, breaking down into smaller parts. So decompose just means I'm taking a fraction and I'm just breaking it down into smaller parts, in littler pieces. Unit fractions, these are the fractions with a 1 in the numerator. So I could have 1/3, 1/8, 1/9, 1/12, 1/100th. Those are unit fractions of a specific fraction. Okay, so let's look at an example that I have right here so we can kind of learn how to do this. So my example, I have 4/5 as my example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break 4/5 down into each individual unit fraction. So remember, there has to be a 1 in the numerator. And since there's a 5 in the denominator for 4/5, that's what I'm going to use for my denominator. So 4/5 would equal 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5. If I add all of these 1/5 up, I will get 4/5 because this is 4 out of 5 pieces. Okay, this is 1 out of 5, 1 out of 5, 1 out of 5, 1 out of 5. If I add 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, I get 4 for my numerator, and then I just leave my 5. Okay? All right, so that one's pretty simple. All you're doing is adding up the number of fifths that would equal your original fraction. Now, 4/5 like this, we can do a combination. We can actually do 2/5 plus 2/5. Well, I know that 2 plus 2 equals 4, and I just leave 5 as my denominator. So 2/5 plus 2/5 equals 4/5. So if I have my whole is 5, if I have 2 over here and 2 over here, that's 4 out of 5 total pieces. And then finally, I could do this right here where I could do 4/5 equals 3/5 plus 1/5. Well, 3 plus 1 equals 4, and I just leave fifths. 5 is my denominator. So I simply add up my numerators, or my top numbers, and equal my numerator in my original problem, and leave my denominator, or my bottom number, the same. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, it's okay, because we're about to go on to our lesson work, and I'm going to show you some more examples of how to actually decompose specific fractions. Okay, so let's look at this page right here. So this is your math journal page. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get my pen ready, and I'm going to look at numbers 1 and numbers 2. Okay, so what they want us to do here is write an equation to show each fraction as the sum of unit fractions. Okay, so unit fractions. So remember, unit fractions have a 1 in the numerator, and then the denominator would be the same. So in this case, for number 1, our denominator is 12ths, but I have to use unit fractions to help us out. So, give myself a little bit more room. This is 5 out of 12. So my numerators for each one of these have to add up to 5. So I have 1 out of 12 plus 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 1 out of 12. See, these are all unit fractions, okay? But let me check that it's 5 out of 12. So these are all 12ths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my decomposition of 5/12 using unit fractions would be 1/12 plus 1/12 plus 1/12 plus 1/12 plus 1/12. Okay? All right, so let's look at 4/100ths. So I have 4/100ths. So my denominator is going to be hundredths. I know that, but I got to use unit fractions. So my numerator is 1. So 1/100th plus 1/100th plus 1/100th. Keep in mind, my pen is very large for this page. Plus 1/100th. So let me double check. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. 4/100ths. All right. So number 1 and number 2 are complete. Number 3, we have to decompose 7/10ths into a sum of fractions with the same denominator in 3 different ways. Pretty much what that saying is, take 7/10ths and break it up into smaller fractions or equations. Okay. Record each decomposition with the equation and justify each one by shading the parts of the circle. Okay, so let's look at their example. So what they did was they took 5/10ths and they added 2/10ths to equal 7/10ths. Okay, so they have 5/10ths plus 2/10ths, and that equals a total of 7/10ths. Okay. Now, what you have to do for A, B, and C, I'm going to let you do this by yourself. A, B, and C, I want you to figure out what other fractions ending in tenths equal 7/10ths. So, hint, hint, wink, wink. My numerator has to equal 7. Okay. So, what tenths plus what tenths equals 7/10ths? Or you could do what tenths plus what tenths plus what tenths plus what tenths, blah, 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 to equal 7/10ths. Okay? All right, so A, B, and C, you're going to work on those together. Okay? After you've done that, make sure that you complete your math boxes in your seesaw activity. Okay? If you need any more assistance, let your teacher know, and we will be able to help you. Okay? All right, guys, good luck, and talk to you later. Bye.